Hey guys, how's it going? This is Matt with Wrestling Universe, and this is what you missed at Smackdown 1000. So, not a whole lot happened if I'm being completely honest with you, but I am going to break it down in the video for you today. So, Smackdown 1000 kicked off with, believe it or not, R-Truth and Carmella. Not how I anticipated they would start things with the show. Really just not what I saw, but soon Stephanie McMahon came out as their guest. There were random flash dance segments throughout the entire, larger segment. And then Shane McMahon came out to, talk about how SmackDown was better than Raw. And then Vince McMahon came out, and then there was more dancing. And that pretty much sums it up. It was pretty much just kind of comedic, I guess, they were going for. Filler to start off the night, and not something that I expected with SmackDown 1000. I kind of thought this was going to be a bigger event than the way that they treated it with everybody that was booked for it, all the legends coming back and everything else. Regardless, after that, we get AJ Styles and Daniel Bryan versus the Usos, which could have been a really great match, I'm sure, had they been given more time. It was really only given maybe 10 minutes, and it was fine. It was a decent match, nothing wrong with it. Just nothing memorable here. Daniel Bryan lost. He took the fall for Styles and Bryan, and I didn't honestly even expect them to lose, but it wasn't a clean victory from the Usos. It was basically a distraction. Styles got kicked, and then Daniel Bryan got double kicked by the Usos for the pinfall, and that was about it. Not really a whole lot that went on here that was eventful to set things up. Kind of disappointing. After that, we got a segment with Evolution, which was one of the more memorable parts of the night for me. And really what made it memorable was, well, one, you haven't seen Evolution together in a very, very long time. I haven't even heard that music play live for an arena in a very long time. But it was when Batista got his turn to talk. He went on for a bit about how grateful he was for the WWE and the fans for giving him the opportunity, and how he loved performing for the fans, and it was really just the highlight of his career was the fans more than anything. And he went on and talked about all of Orton's accomplishments and how proud he was of him and of how much Flair had done for the industry, and he talked about how much Triple H had done for the industry. And as he's talking about Triple H, he says that he's done just about everything there is to do except beat Batista, because Triple H has never beat Batista. He is right. So obviously they're kind of teasing towards some kind of potential future match, which how cool would that be if Batista did come back to take on Triple H at, say, Mania or something like that. I think that would make a lot more sense than his last return, and I think that most fans would embrace Batista returning, especially if it's done right, and Batista has expressed that he wants to make sure that it's done right this time. So that's pretty exciting. That's one of the bigger pieces coming out of the event from tonight. Other than that, really there wasn't a whole lot going on. There were the two qualifying matches for the World Cup tournament. The first one between Rusev and The Miz was extremely quick. Aiden English came out for a distraction. The whole segment, including the post-match attack from Rusev to English, only lasted maybe 3-4 minutes tops. It was so fast. It was kind of disappointing again. For the 1000th episode of SmackDown, I kind of thought we would see a little bit more for the current superstars on the roster. But either way, we did end up getting Edge coming back too, which was really cool to see him. Just in general, it is always cool to see Edge. He's one of those superstars that really kind of never gets old, or at least hasn't to this point. But he was doing a segment with Becky Lynch where she came out as part of the Cutting Edge talk show. She was his guest, and basically she cut a pretty good heel promo on Edge during the segment. Now, I know we don't really want Becky Lynch to be a heel right now, but she makes for a great heel either way. I mean, babyface or heel, whichever way you want to paint her, she's pretty solid. She had a really nice line in here where she told Edge to make sure that he didn't mess his neck up again as he was leaving the ring, which is just really low, and it just great heel work overall. So kudos to Becky Lynch there. And there's some back and forth with her and Charlotte. Basically, Edge had come to Raw in part to make sure that he addressed Becky Lynch and told her that she was going down the wrong path and she was going to end up lonely and hating herself and all this other stuff. That's pretty much all that amounted to, was, you know, Edge coming out to kind of give her a little bit of a heel push, give her a little bit of momentum in that regard, and then the whole back and forth thing with Charlotte just continued. And Charlotte, by the way, just got massive heat from the crowd. I know she's the babyface, and everyone knows the story at this point. They're kind of giving her the Roman Reigns treatment of the Divas division, which is not the same exactly, because I think Charlotte's a lot better than Reigns was when he started to get that treatment. I think she does in some ways deserve to be at the top of the women's division, though I definitely understand why we don't want her to be the only one at the top of the women's division, as there are people like Becky Lynch who are just as deserving and just as good as Charlotte Flair. Regardless, that was the segment, nothing too crazy here, but interesting to see Edge back at the very least. We do also get a SmackDown Tag Team Championship match tonight, featuring Big E this time with Xavier Woods instead of Kofi, against The Bar. And this was a pretty solid match all around. It's about what you would expect from the two groups. They're both very talented, among the best tag teams in the company right now. And surprisingly, The Bar won the belts, so there was a title change tonight. I didn't really see that coming. I didn't think that they were going to do that. I thought this was kind of a throwaway show after seeing the first hour of it. I really didn't expect anything big to happen from it, but that did happen, and that was pretty interesting. Big Show came out at the end of it and immediately turned heel, which I know sounds like just the stereotype, like something that you would joke about, but that's exactly what happened. He came out and he turned heel as soon as he came out. I don't remember the last time that we saw Big Show. I know it hasn't been, you know, incredibly long, but it's been a little bit. And it's just funny that, you know, after not having seen him in a little bit, he comes out, you know, fans are reacting to him in a big way, like he's, you know, a returning legend, because he is, and he immediately turns heel, and he attacks the New Day and puts them through a table, and just the whole thing was just kind of silly. But the Big Show is back, so I think that is the takeaway from this, is that hopefully the Big Show is now coming back and becoming a part of the regular roster again. And I say hopefully because he's got to round out his career at some point, and I would hope that when he does do that, which should probably be happening soon, that he does go on at least some sort of run for a little bit, and we get to see him for a while before he does finally call it quits and retire, which I would assume is happening sooner rather than later. But that's all just speculation on my part. Anyway, moving on into the show, we do get the second qualifying match for the WWE World Cup, and that match is Shinsuke Nakamura versus Rey Mysterio, which is easily match of the night now. Mysterio, while not 100% flawless here, there were a few spots that were a little bit messy. Did look really great, honestly, better than I've seen him in a long time in WWE anyway. Now, he's looked really good outside of WWE, and we know that he's been working on his physique for a very long time in very impressive shape, but overall Mysterio looked great, and it was great to see him wrestling at such a high capacity, especially for his age. He's been around for so long now. I believe Mysterio's in his late 40s at this point, and he's still running around, flying around like he's, you know, some guy in his 20s, like some of the best of the cruiserweights are. So great to see Mysterio. Mysterio did pick up the win here, so it will be Mysterio in the World Cup, and he is the last man to qualify. I don't know if I remember all the qualifiers. There's John Cena, Dolph Ziggler, Rey Mysterio now, Jeff Hardy, Randy Orton's in it. I know, oh man, Kurt Angle's in it. That's what, 6? There's 2 more that I'm missing somewhere in there. But overall, it's going to be an interesting tournament. I think Mysterio is going to make for an interesting addition, because who really knows which way they're going to end up going with it. Oh, Rollins is another one who's in it, so that's 7. I don't know who the 8th one I'm missing is. I'll figure it out at some point before I post the video. But either way, the World Cup tournament is set. All of the participants have been named at this point, and it should make for a pretty good tournament with everybody involved. The last piece of SmackDown 1000 is The Undertaker coming out, which was built to all night, and it was hyped up during the entire event. They went on about how The Undertaker was returning to SmackDown, and he came out in the last couple of minutes. He had his entrance, which took up 90% of the last couple of minutes, and then he came out and he said that he and Kane had 3 words for DX, and that was rest in peace, which if you saw Raw, or if you caught the Raw recap from us, or if you got a recap from somebody else, you'll know that that is literally a line that he used in his promo on Raw. So he returned to SmackDown for the first time in God knows how long, it's been years, to literally say that he had 3 words for DX, and that was rest in peace, a line from a promo that they cut last night on Raw. So pretty disappointing ending to a pretty disappointing show. I thought it was going to be much more of a spectacle, and not in the sense of, you know, a big comedic kind of silly show, but I guess we might as well get used to that, because it seems like all of these big anniversary shows are kind of just set to be that from now on. I remember they used to be something so much different, but that's just me. I'm being far too negative about this. It is kind of just the expectation now for these things. They are just these big, kind of silly, over-the-top events where nostalgia runs wild, and that's kind of king at these things. But that is all that you missed at SmackDown 1000. If you saw SmackDown 1000, how did you feel about it? Did you like it? Were you a fan? Any particular moments that really stood out to you? Anything that you would have changed? How would you have booked SmackDown 1000? Because I could go on for days about how I would have booked SmackDown 1000. It would have looked completely differently, but what would you have changed? Or did you think it was great? Did you like it? Was it something that you really thought was just kind of on par with what WWE should be doing? I don't know. I'm not an expert by any means. I'm not, you know, the king of booking or anything like that. I'm not King Booker. Clever reference right there. Anyway, leave your comments in the comment section, obviously down below. And if you enjoyed this video, don't forget to lay the smackdown on that like button and ring the bell to subscribe.